here are the settings that I've been using for like 95% of my career. I have over 100,000 kills with them, reach Masters and Predator and all those good ranks, even reach Platinum with them. And these settings will work for you too, because either if you're on console, on PC, as long as you're using a controller, that's all that matters. My setup is a red Dualshock 4 with a Vortex Galaxy stick on the right stick. If this controller that my brother let me borrow had a grip on the left stick, I would have my tall left Vortex stick on it, but this controller unfortunately does not, so I cannot use it. If you're planning on getting any Control Freak products, make sure you use code RAZORYT in the checkout for a discount. Let's get right into the settings. Compact makes your screen look way cleaner. Button hints, if you're used to the game by now, just turn this off. Crosshair damage feedback, make sure you turn this off because that little X is actually making you aim where you were previously shooting, but when the enemy's strafing around, you don't want to be shooting at that X anymore. You don't want it on your screen. You just want to be able to perfectly see where your next shot is going. So make sure you turn this off and you will see an improvement over time. It takes a little bit of getting used to. Damage numbers on stacking. You won't have to do math in your head when you're shooting at people. This shows you your total damage that you do to somebody. This is all you need. Ping opacity is just cleaner when it's on faded and somebody pings something across the map. Obituaries is just your kill feed, so just have that on. Mini map rotation, just preference. Call of Duty is on, so if you're used to playing COD and stuff like that, turn it on. It'll feel the same. Weapon auto cycle on empty, whatever you're used to, whatever's better for you, because if you're not used to it off and you turn it off, it's gonna mess you up. So that's why I just have it on default. It was the default option, and I'm used to pressing my R2 to switch to my other gun if I have absolutely no ammo left, or if I don't notice it. I just enjoy it. Auto sprint on, this just saves your left thumbstick from being broken, like mine. I don't think double tap to sprint's necessarily the best in like a really tight situation, so I wouldn't use it. I like jetpack control on hold. Preferred incoming damage feedback on both. This is just preference, really. This just makes your screen really red though, so it doesn't really matter which one you choose. Taking damage closes death box. You don't want to have this on because if a caustic takes you for 1 damage with this gas while you're trying to get a shield swap, you won't get the shield. It'll take you out of the box over and over again. So make sure you turn this off and get used to it. The only thing you have to get used to is pressing circle to manually leave a box when you're shield swapping quickly in a fight. But obviously this is much better than taking damage. This just shows you what hop-ups do, so at this point you probably don't need this, so just turn it off if you're not new to the game. Streamer mode does absolutely nothing, just covers people's names on your screen. If you want to actually be anonymous, you would turn this on, and then your name will be player 114, for example. All of this is preference, really. I do have my reticle on green usually. It's set to default because I had a command in for a previous reticle, but now it doesn't work anymore, so now I just use green. I just have to switch it every day, and I need to go take that command out. Performance display just shows what your FPS is, so if you want to see your FPS, if you want to see your ping and stuff, turn that on. And personally, I should have all this on default. I'll quickly go over audio. Usually I have this at 100%. For the sake of the video, I have this at 8% currently, and the only thing I mess with is 100% sound effects, and dialogue I set down to 7% because you'll still hear them just fine, but you'll be able to hear footsteps better at the same time, because everybody knows this game has no audio. I used to use 110, but I switched it down to 106. I saw somebody on Twitter said they enjoyed it. I tried it, and I actually ended up enjoying it too. It's not really much of a difference though, so 110, 106, same thing really. That's what I use. Ability scaling, this is when you take like an Octane stim or a Bloodhound ult, your FOV is gonna raise by like 10, it's gonna go to 120. So if you want to stop that from happening and you want consistent FOV, you disable it. Sprint view shake is like when Caustic and Gibby are running and they look slower because their arms are moving very slowly. If you set this to minimal, their arms won't be on the screen as much. And for my video settings, it's just all set to low. My button layout, I've been using this since like day 2 of Apex Legends Evolved. I just think having your right thumb on the stick at all times is super crucial, or sorry, as much as you possibly can. For example, if you're using X to jump or A on an Xbox controller, it's going to take your right thumb off the stick while you're jumping, and your shots aren't going to be as accurate. So if you use L1 to jump, for example, you can be way more accurate. Done. Thank you, sir.
Look at that.
My man.
Look at that goddamn timing right there.
My man.
Alright?
This one's really weird for most people because it just seems really weird. Why would you want to hold square to reload? Because when you're on a door on a controller and you try to reload, I'm sure you've been through the nightmare of opening the door when you didn't want to while you were reloading, and that obviously gets you killed. So why is that good? Not good. So I switched it, hold the reload, tap to use, and I win my door fights on controller. You could say this is a disadvantage because there's a bit of a delay holding reload, but if you get used to using R2 or your shoot, whatever your shoot button is, to reload as well, you can definitely get used to it very quickly, and it's very beneficial. These are both good. Toggle's good for multiple reasons, hold's good for multiple reasons. Either one that you're better at, whatever one you prefer, I think either one is definitely really good. I've literally used both and dropped 20s at in the first season.
Randall?
Yeah.
My cousin or you?
I could cut in like I can cut in like 45. Aim button, if you have on toggle, I got bad news for you. Survival slot button I have on just obviously to use the survival slot. Trigger dead zones you want on none, because the more dead zone you have, the more time it takes when you press down on your trigger for it to actually work. So there's no point of having a dead zone there. Make sure you turn that off. This is set super low by default. I think it's set to 0. So if you set it from 0 to 100, you're not going to be used to it. But you need to turn this up in increments and get used to it every day, because the more it turns up, the faster you can curse around and get a shield swap faster. So when you're used to it on maxed, you just go like that and you just swap very quickly. These settings don't matter when you have your ALCs enabled, but my favorite non-ALC settings, 5-4 classic, no dead zone. Make sure you have your movement dead zone on small. Inverted look, I mean, if you like inverted look, that's up to you. And I personally recommend that you have your vibration off. Here are my advanced look control settings. All I've really changed is my dead zone because the controller I'm using has really bad stick drift. So if you can, set this to 0, but if your cursor on the screen is moving by itself, then you want to turn this up to 3%. And if your controller is really old, or if you like drop it a lot and stuff, you might still notice that's happening on 3%. Then you want to just turn it up as little as you can. It's hard to do on controller. It's really hard to turn it up. That's why I like using my mouse. But you can just turn it up to 5%. And then if you turn it up to 5%, you can hit your arrow to go up in increments. So 5%. And if you want to see the rest of this, if you want to pause it here, if you want to pause the video, or if you want to take a screenshot, I will show you the rest of the numbers right about now. Those are the last 4 numbers. Have these on. And if you're on console, you should probably leave your aim assist value on console value because it's more aim assist than PC value. For optic settings, I have set to off, by the way. I think consistency on these settings is super good, and I think it's a one-size-fits-all, whether you're using iron sight or a 4x. I love these ADS. These settings help you. Make sure you hit that like button. If you dislike the video, make sure you hit that dislike button. And make sure you hit that sub bell if you're new here for more Apex Legends and Elden Ring content. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.